This is Olivia Osgood, and you are listening to the How to Quit Working Show. I'm glad that my mommy's an entrepreneur so that we get to spend lots of time together and she gets to homeschool me.
This is the How to Quit Working Show. Jeff Steinman believes entrepreneurship is the only true path to freedom. That's why he created the How to Quit Working Show, where you'll hear stories, insights, and inspiration from lifestyle fanatics who left their soul-sucking 9-to-5 job forever. Now, here's your host, author, entrepreneur, and ultimate lifestyle fanatic, Jeff Steinman.
Hello and welcome to the How to Quit Working Show. This is Heather Osgood, your host of the Friday edition of the How to Quit Working program. I hope that you're having a wonderful day, and I'm so glad that you've joined me. And I hope that your week has been super productive and you're ready to kick off a great weekend. Now, today, before we get started, I want to make sure that you've had a chance to go over to How to Quit Working and join the How to Quit Working Circle. In the How to Quit Working Circle, you are going to find a ton of resources. There is some free video training, videos that you really should take advantage of. You can join our Facebook group, which is a phenomenal group of people just like you who are interested in quitting their jobs and creating a life of freedom that you want. And it's really just a great experience to be able to post questions, comments, concerns that you might have, and get feedback directly from individuals who are going through it and know exactly how you feel. We also have live trainings, and when you are a member of our circle, you'll get alerted to those live trainings. So if you have not joined the How to Quit Working Circle, I would encourage you to do that and do it soon. Simply go to howtoquitworking.com/circle and you can join there. Now, today I want to talk to you about how to determine your pricing for your product or service. This is a question that I get all the time, and I really felt like it was something I wanted to talk to you about. The pricing of your product or service can make a huge difference in your ability to actually stay in business or not stay in business, depending on kind of the avenue or the path that you take, and that's why it's so important. So first of all, when we look at the price point of our product or service, we have to really do it with a lot of caution and with a lot of foresight, and really just not something to be taken lightly. I have found in my own personal work experience and business experience that when I create price points that I just kind of pull out of the air, ultimately, I have found that those prices are generally not the best price points, and they really don't serve anyone well. I've had too many situations in my experience where I've priced something very kind of haphazardly or quickly off the cuff, and it has turned out in many cases that those products were not profitable, and in some cases have cost me money. And certainly that is not what we want to do in business, is pay someone to buy our products. So as you're looking at really determining what the price of your product should be, first you want to look at what are called COGS. Now, a COG is a cost of goods sold, and that cost of goods sold is an important marker for you to determine. If you don't have what it's actually costing you to either create a product or provide a service, you won't know whether you're charging enough for it. Now, when you're looking at your COGS, you might want to determine the labor that's taking you to create the product. If it is a specific product, you're going to want to look at the cost of the materials that are going to go into it. If there are any manufacturing costs, if there are any costs to maybe ship that product to you, if there are any marketing fees that are related to it, if it's a service-based product, how many hours are you putting into that service? That's going to be an important factor for you to determine or to look at, and really come up with a very clear, solid number for your cost of goods sold, because having that foundational number will let you know what you should price your product at. If you're pricing it at something that isn't even covering the cost to either provide or produce that product or service, it really isn't going to do you any good to sell it for an amount or a dollar that you think is really going to be great. You might say, oh gosh, if I could sell that for $20, that would be terrific. Or if I could sell my appointments for $200, that would be awesome. Well, if that's not actually covering your expenses, it doesn't matter what someone is giving you if it's not covering those costs of goods sold. So first and foremost, it's really, really important to determine that. And once you have that dialed in, then I recommend that you dive into a research phase. So you want to really, really consider, what are your competitors doing? What are the price points that they're providing? And, just really taking a look at what exactly is that product? What exactly is that service? Who are they selling that product to? And what is the dollar amount that they're selling it for? Now, one of the things that I hear all the time that I think is really important to address is people will frequently say, well, I'm different than everyone else. My product is not the same as someone else's, or my service is not the same as someone else's. And that's important for you to realize, and it's important for you to see the distinctions between yourself and someone else. But it's also really important for you to see the similarities. And my experience has been that most often people are more similar to their competitors than they want to accept. In most cases, you start a business because you've decided that there's this big need for this product or service within the market. And in order to fill that market, or in order to fill that need, that void that you see, you create something. And your hope is always that that product or service is going to be far superior to your competitors, and people are going to want to purchase your product. And I think that we almost get a little bit of like entrepreneur blindness that happens, or business owner blindness that happens, where we really believe that what we are delivering is far superior than anyone else. And it is so important and so good to have pride in yourself, to have pride in your company, to have pride in your services or products. But it's also really important for you to be realistic and for you to properly evaluate how you actually stack up to a competitor. And if the competitor is delivering a product or service that is nearly identical to what you are providing, you have to really consider their price point, and you have to make sure that yours isn't more expensive just for the sake of being more expensive. So really, really look at that and try to be as honest with yourself as possible. Of course, you're going to try to create a better product or service. Of course, you are an important factor in the difference. You are contributing a lot to the delivery of that product or service, but also get really, really honest with yourself so that you can see the similarities and you can see the differences. That's really important. Now, it's entirely possible that when you are evaluating the market, you might find that, there are a lot of people who are delivering a very similar product that you are wanting to deliver. And that is just fine. It doesn't matter if there are a ton of people who are doing the same thing that you're doing, as long as you have that ability to really differentiate yourself to the degree that is needed to make your business successful. And that might be that you're just going to be targeting a slightly different person, and that person might be different geographically. They might be different, in terms of their needs or their desires. So that can, be a differentiating factor. But it's important for you to really get a good, feel of the landscape and feel of exactly what people are doing near you or within your industry and within your space. And then once you kind of have this, this really good picture of what's happening, then you'll be able to really place the price point for your product. Now, as you're thinking about creating a business, it's very important for you to look at how much money it is that you personally need to generate. So if you've been making $55,000 a year or $65,000 a year and you're creating a business, you want to make sure that that business has the capacity to actually deliver that similar level of income to you. And if you're looking at a business and it doesn't have the capacity to deliver that similar level of income, and your real desire is that you would like to quit your job and you would like to start this business, it's really important for you to make sure that that product or service can actually support your lifestyle and your desire, because our goal is to get you from working at a job and feeling like you're really not contributing to maybe your greater desire in the world, to a place of feeling that you really are in control of your destiny and you're in control of your time and you're in control of your money. And none of those things are going to happen for you if you don't have a product or a service that is priced appropriately so that it can actually get you to where you want to be. So that's a really, really important factor for you to consider. We oftentimes here at How to Quit Working will talk about the idea that you may be a person that could go through 3, 4, 5 different businesses before you actually land on the business that is going to be the one for you. And when I say the one that's actually going to really produce an income for you. Now, we really don't believe that there is one great idea sitting out there, that once you find that great idea, everything is going to align and, the heavens are going to open up and money is going to pour out. I don't believe that. The reality is that each of us has the capacity to deliver or create many, many different businesses. And we need to find the business that is going to be right for us. And one of those important factors is its ability to produce income for you and your family, or for you and your dreams and your desires, your goals in life. So really determining whether that product or service is going to deliver the price that you need to reach your goals is important. So as you're considering the landscape of your competitors and you're looking at really, okay, so this person is selling it at this price and maybe this person is selling it at this price, and then you want to sell it for double that simply because you need to get to your $55,000 a year, that probably isn't going to fly for you. So you really, really have to look at maybe, is that a good industry for you? Is that a good business for you if it doesn't have the capacity to get you to your personal income goals? Now, the next factor to really consider is the value that you're providing. The value that you're providing is the most important piece of the puzzle. And when we look at value, we often look at perceived value. So perceived value basically is what your customer identifies as being really the strength that this item or this product is going to deliver into their lives. So your customer has a problem of some sort and you need to help solve that problem. And the value is really what that kind of cost gap is for them and how much it is worth to them to actually buy your product. So if they're looking at buying something from you and they really believe that the value of the product far outweighs the cost of the product, then they're going to be more likely to purchase it. When you're looking at something and it is, very high price, but you don't think it's a good value, why would you buy it? For instance, you might think about a leather sofa. Now, there are many, many leather sofas on the market, and you can get bonded leather, and it sounds great and it looks great and it's really inexpensive, but it doesn't last for very long because once you purchase it, it is much more prone to wear and tear. It can peel, it can, get melted by hot things. I mean, any variety of things. It is just really, a very inexpensive product. It's really not delivering the value that you might like in a leather sofa. If you actually purchased a real leather sofa, you're going to get a product that is going to last for a very long time, that is going to be very durable, that is most likely going to be comfortable. It certainly will not peel. Those are the sorts of things, and that's the value that you would get in purchasing a real leather sofa as opposed to a bonded leather sofa. So those are in comparisons that your customer, your client needs to make in order to want to buy your product. So if we're going back to our scenario of the idea that you want to sell your product for more than your competitors are selling it for, you have to just add to the value of the product. So we could use the example of an ebook. I talk to people every day who want to write ebooks. Now, if you decided that you wanted to write an ebook for parents to help them teach their young children to read, that could be a terrific product for you. If you did a little bit of research in the market and you found that there were tons and tons of these ebooks written out there and they were all selling at a certain price point, and maybe let's say they were all selling for $5 and you really had the hope that you could sell your ebook for $20. Well, why would a customer decide to purchase your $20 ebook over a $5 ebook when we really believe that the content is going to be fairly similar? So that's where you need to look at how do you add value to the proposition. You might add value by deciding that you're going to create an online forum for parents who are wanting to teach their young children to read, and for no additional cost beyond the purchase of the book, they can be part of this forum. They can ask questions, they can answer questions, and they can be engaged with other people who are, going through a similar stage in life. That could be a value added item that really will allow you to get a higher price point for your ebook. So as you're looking at pricing your product, really, really look at your value proposition. Look at the perceived value of the product that you're creating. If it's a brand new product to the market, then you're going to most likely have to create that perceived value of your product, because it may not exist. So that's extremely important when you're looking at pricing your product, and really taking a good look at who you're going to sell your product to and having a handle on what their needs are and what value they place on that product or service you're going to sell is really, really a key to pricing your product correctly. And, what I want to end on too is really thinking about how this price point is going to affect everything in your business. So if this price point isn't going to cover your cost of goods sold, you're not going to have profitability. If this price point is going to be much higher than your competitors, you may not be able to sell it. If this price point is going to be much lower than your competitors, oftentimes you won't be able to sell it. In most cases, people don't want to purchase something if they view it as expensive or if they view it as cheap. Most of the time, people want to purchase something that they really believe is going to be the best that they can buy for the money that they have. So really, really think about how your price point is going to speak volumes and how it's going to position you in the market. Now, I also want you to really think about the product offerings that you have and think about your customers' ability to really compare pricing. One of my favorite stories about comparable pricing is a story that comes out of Williams-Sonoma. Now, Williams-Sonoma was one of the first companies to create a bread machine, and they created this bread machine and priced it at $275. They weren't selling very many of these bread machines, and they couldn't figure out why. They felt like it was a really great invention. They felt like people should want to buy it and that it should really be selling very well. And for some reason, it wasn't. Now, they had gotten advice that they should create a bread machine that was priced at a higher price point, and that would help them sell the lower price point item. So they created a bread machine that was priced, I think, at like $450 or $470, something like that. Their goal wasn't to sell the bread machine that was priced at the higher price point. Their goal was to sell the bread machine that was priced at $250. And the reason that they had created the higher priced bread machine was to allow the customer to see that comparison and feel comfortable buying a product that they were really very unfamiliar with. And as they, did roll out this higher priced bread machine, the sales of their original product more than doubled. And it was because the customer customer felt comfortable. They felt like they had that comparison that they could make, that yes, that this was a good idea. A couple of other things to consider as you're creating the pricing of your product is that it does work well, especially, depending on kind of the sales that you're doing, to lead with a higher priced item. When you lead with a higher priced item, you're kind of anchoring in with that customer or that person that, the price is maybe at this level. And then as you talk through your conversation and you're able to offer them a product that is maybe comparable, as in the situation with the bread machines, but is priced at a significantly lower price point, they will feel a tendency to gravitate toward that and really be comfortable with that price point. Now, in most cases, similarly to the bread machine, if that is the case, you want to make sure that your real goal is to sell the middle priced product and not necessarily the higher priced product. And that's not to say people won't purchase the higher priced product, which is, great. But you really want them to think about being able to identify where they fit into this pricing structure. And again, what value are they going to receive from the different items that you've put out there. It's also important for you to actually look at the dollar amount, that dollar number that you're putting out there. And I have read so many studies about, different ways that you might go about actually presenting your price points. I've read studies about how the smaller the font size is on your price, the more people will perceive it as being a lower price. I've read studies that have shown that you shouldn't actually put a dollar sign in front of something, because that can kind of scare off people, so that's something to consider. I've read studies that say that it is better to end in a round number, so maybe better to end in 250. And then I've read studies that say, it's better to end at 249 and take off a penny. And those are all things that you kind of have to just play out with your customers. You have to really have a certain period of trial and experimentation to really see what people are going to gravitate towards and what's really speaking to them. But at the end of the day, really, really, the price isn't as important as their perceived value of the product that you're selling. And if you can really work on helping them see the value of what it is that you're offering, then they're going to be much more likely to purchase. So really think about that. Whether you're selling a small product, a small item, whether you're selling huge service packages, anywhere in between, really just think about that value, because at the end of the day, we really only buy things that solve problems for us. We buy toothpaste because we need to brush our teeth. We buy food because we need to eat. We buy furniture because we need somewhere to sit. And it's the same thing with the product or service that you're purchasing. With the product or service you're selling. People are going to buy it because they have a need for it. And so make sure that they understand that there is really a huge value in the product that you are providing or that service that you're providing. And in conclusion for today, I really want you to think about your perception of your price point. It is extremely important that once you've done your research, once you've gone through your expenses and you know what your COGS are, once you've done your in-depth research of your competitors and you know where you're placed in the market, once you've done some testing with your customers and you feel comfortable that this is a good price point, that there are people out there who are really interested in buying your product at this level, you have to internalize that price point. You have to be good with it. And you might decide that, you really wanted to sell your ebook for $20 and it's only going to sell for $5. And maybe that means that instead of writing one book about teaching your children to read, you need to write 10 books. And so those are all just different approaches that you're going to need to take to get to that final number, which is the number you need to help sustain your life without a job. But it's important for you to feel absolutely sold and absolutely convinced that the price point that you have on your product is the correct price point. Because if it's not the right price point, you are not going to be able to sell it. Everything that you do, from copy that you write on a website to promotional pieces that you put together, the copy, work that you do on those, anything that you do is going to speak, I'm not sure that this is the right price. I'm not sure I'm comfortable to sell the product or service at this price. And it might be that you feel like you're selling it at a too cheap a price. And it might be that you feel like you're selling it at too expensive a price. So really, really think about that as well. You have to be totally 100% sold that this is the right price point for you. I really do believe in gut feelings in business. I have more than once followed my gut reaction, and it has, in most cases, really come out well for me. So feel how the price sits with you. And is it something that you feel comfortable with? Is this what you really believe is going to be the right price point for you? And if you believe that that's the right price point for your product or service, in most cases, it will be. So really think about that. Now, I also want you to really think about pushing yourself a little higher than you might feel comfortable going, because in most cases, most of us are selling ourselves short, and we are not really actually pricing our products at the level that we should be pricing them at, because truthfully, we're just afraid. We're afraid that if our products are priced too high, no one will buy them, and if no one buys them, then we won't have a business, then we won't be able to have the life of our dreams, we won't be able to have the freedom that we want. And so I'm just really encouraging you to try to break through that fear, because if people are purchasing your product or service, they will buy it. You know, if you've got 10 people out there who are willing to buy a product or service that you have, then that means you can find 100 people. And if you can find 100, then you can find 1,000. And if you can find 1,000, then you can find 10,000. So really, really think about that and push yourself a little out of your comfort zone with your price point. Because if you have a higher priced product or service, you're obviously going to have to sell less. And that, you know, at the end of the day, it boils down to, you know, just numbers and how money is flowing in and out of your business. And so it's really, really important to think about trying to charge as much as you can within the constraints of really it being of value to your customer. I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you're having any concerns or trepidation about how to price a product, even if you're just in those really kind of beginning stages of business development and you're thinking, gosh, I really know I'd like to quit my job. I know I'd like to do this, but I have no idea how I would do it. I don't know what I would charge for it. And maybe just the whole concept of creating a business feels really overwhelming. I just would encourage you to reach out. I would love to talk to you about how we can create a system and a formula to help you get your business started and get it up to profitability, to help you quit your job and get on the road to the life of freedom that I know you want to live. I'd be more than happy to speak with you. Please feel free to give me a call. There's a 1-800 number on our website, howtoquitworking.com. You can also email me at heather@howtoquitworking.com. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to talking to you next week.
Thanks for joining us on the How to Quit Working show. Tune in next time when we'll talk to another amazing person just like you who is now living the ultimate life of freedom and doing it on their terms. If you want to learn how to quit working and get these episodes delivered directly to you, visit howtoquitworkingshow.com.